Last we left our heroes, you rested from your aberrant encounter atop the Silver Summit and began your trek southwest to Brundr Kiln. Uneventfully, you traveled across the Ironholm foothills. However, once you reached the unsettling Parchwood, you found yourselves stalked by a monstrous entity. With quick thinking and keen eyes, you managed to spy and fool your would-be assailant and leave them behind as you headed southward. From the Parchwood, you crossed the ruins and battlefields of the Iron Hills, hearing the tales of ancient war heroes and villains. You persevered through storms until finally you made your way to the outskirts of Brundr Kiln. This town-turned-resort destination you expected to be bustling and thriving. Instead, came to find it barren, silent, and split by a massive chasm that surrounds the outer borders. You took some time to mull over your options and elected to lean on the cover of night to make your way across. Thus you waited and watched. More accurately, however, you were being watched by a figure who would come to introduce themselves to Decrane after he opened fire on the hiding spot this elderly-looking elf warrior had taken, known as Coulson Tedeschi Winchester. With this new ally, Decrane fell into combat as the gunshot had drawn the threat that now bears down upon this town. Ichor-filled, zombie-like husks of the former denizens of Brundr Kiln, similar to those that you faced at the summit a week prior. As the pair of fighters engaged, the bunny twins bounded their way across to aid, and Andy provided magical assistance from the far side of the chasm. Your enemies fell to your blows, despite resisting the non-magical seal you wield. However, as each fell, the husk would burst and unleash a viscous spray of hyper-cooled black ichor. And as the last one did fall, this death burst brought Decrane down with it. In the wake of this moment, Decrane drops amidst a pool of this black ichor from the horde that had swarmed him, and he lies still as we begin tonight. In this moment, as you watch Decrane fall after cutting down this last figure, this burst and spray of darkness, you watch him fall. Surrounded by, as I said, this pool, but also the multiple bodies. Decrane had basically held a position with 3 or 4, 5 creatures had just swarmed, and he fought them off, and you aided from afar. He is lit by a magically lit arrow. You see him fall very clearly. Enid and Augustus and Coulson, though separated, you guys are about 15 feet from DC's side. However, given the nature of what has happened here, and I'll get into it once we get to DC's turn, we're going to remain in initiative order as Decrane falls. The order will continue Coulson, Augustus, Enid, Andy, and then back to Decrane, where we will learn a little bit more of what's going on. So, in this immediate moment, in terms of initiative, like a 6-second reaction action, Coulson, is there anything you do immediately following this moment?
Not just yet. I'm just shell-shocked,
What I would ask of you, if you're not going to take an action in combat, or not in combat, but in this moment, what would make sense for your character is a perception check, just to survey the field.
That's right, because more and more baddies kept coming from that one side, right?
20.
Perfect. In your time in this city, which has, obviously, you spent the vast majority of your life here, but in this this circumstance that's befallen Brundr Kiln, you know that these creatures are drawn mostly to sound, but are drawn just kind of out of seemingly nowhere, and suddenly a swarm of them will bear down upon you. They move fast, but they're not particularly intelligent. They can be navigated around. They can be fooled. But immediately knowing the sound that very well could have drawn more, you actually move away from the group a little ways just to get better sight lines deeper into the city, take a position and hold. And with a 20 perception for this round, it seems like nothing further is coming from the city. It seems like, at least for the time being, this is the full reach of these this wave, this group of them, of these creatures. And for now, you seem to think that the enemies have stopped their approach.
I'll relay that information to everyone.
You call back in a hushed tone. Augustus, we come to your turn. Enid on deck.
How far am I from our sweet boy, Decrane?
I want to say 15 feet. I don't have it that near, but like close enough to get there without hurting yourself.
Can I rush over and try and put a cure wounds in him?
Yeah, as you rush forward, you see the pool that is kind of around him of this kind of dark. It looks like an oil spill is around him, and then the multiple bodies of the people who were once here that are around him. As you rush forward, the light is kind of illuminating this, and the crane is down. As you rush forward, your passive perception and passive perception is high. And you rush forward with the intent of like knowing, okay, he's probably down healing. He is down, but convulsing, almost seizure-like convulsions. His mouth is like clamped shut, and his eyes are wide open but pitch black.
This is not good. This is not good. He needs help. Can I try, instead of a cure, can I try a lesser restoration? I said cure first, so if you want me to just do cure first now, I'm down with that.
I was going to roll with the cure because that was like your instinct, rather than giving that moment to like change your tactic. That was more the description of like what you're seeing. I still think it would make sense for you to go for cure.
Swear. Sweet. Let's do it.
Go ahead and roll the healing.
It would be 8, but who knows how this stuff works.
You reach down and you touch hold of the crane's body, instantly icy cold, almost stinging ever so slightly. But the magic of your druidic abilities seeps through and kind of takes that initial cool away. You do notice some of the kind of external wounds begin to like close themselves off, but Decrane does not stop this convulsions. He does not regain consciousness. Something is still very wrong.
I'll call out that. I'll be like, my magic's not working. There's something still wrong with him. And then as a bonus, could I just try and do Ray's fiery teleport to just get us a little bit out of, like, thinking if there's all those ichor and gross stuff around, just to move us like 15 feet, maybe even closer to Nettie, to try and get away from all the bodies of it.
Yeah. And behind you, as you blast away and you burst the flames of Ray behind, you and Enid are both very perceptive enough, and Coulson, I think, as well, to catch the like high-pitched whining of things being burned still.
Like it's still reactive to it.
Yes. Whatever pool and whatever things may have still remained, you just blasted with fire and got away from. You pull Decrane basically right to where Enid was standing. Like that was about, you can travel for 15 feet, so easily pulls yourself, Decrane and Ray right in front of Enid as we come to Enid.
Can I ask one more thing? And it could just be a narrative description thing. Does he have like a gaping wound? I guess it just splashed on him. Like, is it localized to a certain spot on his body?
That would require a check and an action.
Okay.
There's not, like, obviously, there's nothing supremely obvious. He's not open.
It's a hole in his chest. Yeah.
That would be, there's nothing incredibly obvious. Anything further would require a check.
Okay.
So, cure wounds doesn't work. What else can I do? Is there something the black ichor, do you want me to do a check on him and see?
I mean, we just don't really know what's wrong. Yeah.
Is medicine a wisdom-based check?
Do you have medicine, Al? Maybe that's worth it, trying to see what's
I have.
Convulsion.
I've got, I'm +3 medicine.
Yeah, like it could be worth a shot just to see if we can find out what's causing this like reaction.
Okay. I'll do it.
Because you don't have any crazy spells or anything. I don't.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like you would have better than I would.
Yeah.
Medicine is going to be the correct check. Like there is a chance to go for like an Arcana side. Like there is basically, if you're going to go Wisdom, Medicine is the game. If you're going to go Intelligence-based, Arcana would be the game. For the two of you, Medicine is certainly the way to go here. So go ahead and throw me a Medicine check with your action. Enid.
Okay. 13.
Okay. As you look Decrane over, like, parting his shirt, looking at, as Scott had asked earlier, for like any obvious glaring wounds. Where your cure wounds had touched up anything that would have been cuts and scrapes and little issues from the fight before. There's nothing very clearly external happening here. With a 13, you're able to identify that something internally is still working its way against Decrane. Magical healing is not managing to quell it, stop it, cease whatever is happening here. It's unfortunately not enough to
go further,
to get more information. But basically the options that you think in this moment with a 13 medicine check, looking at him still like convulsing and like seizing and magic not working, is to like surgically figure this out. And that is, as of now, to Enid, the way you've like what you've rolled here and your like gut instinct would be something's inside him, let's cut it out.
Oh boy.
I think he's got something inside him. We're gonna have to cut it out.
Cut it out?
I think so.
Oh man.
But like, is it in his stomach? Is it in his like heart? Like,
Coulson, are you a doctor?
Coulson!
Andy, it's bad. You need to figure out how to get here.
I don't think I can.
I'm going to pause there for a second. As in initiative, we're running short on how much time we can talk to one another. Enid, that would be your full action. There's not much more you can do as a bonus, so then we'll move on to Andy's turn here. Andy, you've heard this kind of discourse happen, the potential for surgery and whatever. What are you doing with your turn?
How far away?
They pulled Decrane back to where they were, which was maybe 15 feet beyond the edge of that side of the chasm. So like 70-ish feet, maybe less. Obviously, they could move Decrane a little bit, but like you're across a 60-foot chasm. That's the bigger issue.
Okay. I have a few things that might work, but I can't get to you. I could pull him here.
Do you think you could, do you have a clean shot that you could do that, do you think?
What do you mean? I can vortex orb him.
I just mean, do you have line of sight that you could do that from this angle?
Easy.
So it's 90 foot.
Okay.
It's really far away. But the problem is then, like, ideally, you guys also need to come back here. I know you have, like, ways of rabbit hopping and making it work, but I don't know.
It went real bad last time.
It went really bad last time, I know. Like, I don't want to separate us.
Enid admitted
I
have 7 health.
Oh my god. Yeah, we're really separated. I have absolutely nothing I can do at this distance.
I would say, I think you just have to make the call. Do you think you have a better chance to save his life?
I don't know.
Teleporting him to you?
I think we need more than one of us to be working on him at the time. That's the problem.
But if you do that, then it's going to take us actions to get to you too. That's like
I know. And if I try to climb to you, it's going to take like fucking 5 rounds, if not more, for me to actually get to you guys.
I'm going to add a wrinkle because it's what I do. You have 2 plans right here. Andy, you are running through the analytical side in your mind what to do. Obviously, you were verbalizing your thought process as you're like rapid firing through your options in the dwindling seconds of your turn. If we go the route as decided via the wisdom side of this game, which is a surgical skill challenge, is what it's going to become. It's a skill challenge against the things working inside his life. Then it is going to require 3 checks in succession for a successful surgical removal. Each failure is a failed death saving throw. If you determine that you want to take this look from an Arcana side, I'll allow you to try at distance, because now you've faced these creatures multiple times. You've seen this death burst multiple times. This is the first time it's had any negative impact. However, You're a smart person. You can try and use your mind and like Sherlock it, right? Try and piece together all the things you've seen and try to use that analytical intelligence, that arcana of your mind, the way you analyze this world through magic, to try and give you another option. But it's going to be your action.
But then I'm the only one doing it too. Like, then we don't have multiple chances per round, right?
What I'm saying is, what I'm saying here is you can use this action to see if there's another course of action you can understand. And if you don't have that course of action, then we come back to this argument. But it's the same argument of like, there are 3 checks that need to happen for this skill challenge. So you will run out of time if there's only one person doing it.
Yeah. I can't do it.
It requires at least 2 people.
Nettie and I have decent wisdom.
I know.
You also have Coulson on your side.
I just can't. I can't help at all. Then there's absolutely nothing I have that has that far of a range. I have a couple things that could help in the potential skill challenge. They're all touch spells or they're all 30 feet. So
what about your portent?
Portents are shit. They're shit. They're not going to help you at all. They're really bad. They'd save a natural 1, but like
maybe.
But they're really bad. I have something that might be able to help him, but I have to touch him, and I have. 1 second, let me check this.
Coulson, share while Leah's looking that up. What you put in the chat.
My wisdom is +0.
Tight.
Great.
By someone else.
Oh, that is 30 feet. Fuck. How wide is the chasm?
60.
60? Shit. Okay.
You can get.
Anybody got dark
55.
vision? 60 feet. I think I do.
Say that all the time.
I do have dark vision. 60 feet.
You're an elf, yeah.
It's a deep cut to the wild.
Right.
What's it going to be, Andy?
There is absolutely nothing I can do.
Then I offer you the opportunity to make an Arcana check to see if you can come up with an alternative.
Do it.
To try and just, what are, like I said before, trying to piece together all of the encounters with these creatures you've had. What is linking them? What could be another alternative other than potentially cutting into your friend to, like, exploratory surgery with unprofessional surgeons
with 2 rabbits.
Like, I think things like I have Detect Good and Evil up still. I could potentially, if I was close enough, maybe use that to try to help point where things are. But I have to be there. I have Detect Magic. Same thing. I have to be within 10 feet. I have Protection from Good and Evil, which could help him against attacks and saving throws.
Totally.
These things. I have to touch him.
It's almost like I designed this
to be tricky.
Oh, God. It is a 21.
Great
Okay.
roll.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, 22.
Okay.
Even better.
It's worse somehow. Okay. You're not going to be able to do anything with this information this turn. You spent this turn trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Not being able to look over him immediately, but the panic that you're reading off of your friends and seeing DeCrane still down, you've seen magical healing go into him and have absolutely no effect. He's still convulsing. He's still down. These effects are supernatural in an obvious way. These creatures are aberrant. You've faced them enough to have gleaned that much information. But what's happening to him is no longer magic. It's no longer just it's more of a force against him. These creatures are feeding. They're in a dire need to sate themselves. And what you've kind of been able to now in this, like I said, this kind of like mind palace way of pulling things together from your experience with these multiple creatures. These creatures have not been zombies, as in reanimated flesh. There's no sign of necromancy in any of these creatures that you've faced. In fact, the bodies that you've seen are just deteriorating and growing frail and ashy on the exterior because they are just inhabiting within the flesh as husks and shields as a food source. Whatever this ichor, whatever these creatures that are the ichor, are feeding within.
So it's like zombies from fucking what's that show / video game?
Last of Us?
Joel, it's Last of Us zombies, not like there's a
zombies from
it's like a separate
Like a spore.
that's controlling the body, not an infection or anything like that.
Yeah,
Separate entity
that's
controlling
fair.
the body.
The last, because you rolled over a 20, the last piece of information you gather is there is an alternative to the surgical nature of what is potentially going to happen here. If you could provide another power source more enticing to feed off of than Decrane's life force, you could, in theory, coax and draw the creature free of his body in search of a more sustaining force. However, it would have to be very impressive. A human, or not human, but a living creature's life force to these creatures is top tier. It is the sun. It gives them that much energy and life to literally reanimate, to grow and evolve. So it would have to be something incredibly powerful to pull them from. And Decrane is a special creature made of energy. It's very specifically the worst one for this to happen to.
I love when Scott just completely disappears from camera.
It's just me hitting my desk with my head.
So you get that much information. However, that is the end of your turn, and you can try to relay that information when it comes back to your turn. You go to DC. Decrane.
Oh God!
As you fall in this moment, your consciousness slips, which is not so uncommon. You're a fighter. You've engaged in battle. You've been knocked out before. But the difference is that it wasn't so much as falling asleep as being dragged into oil. You are suffocating. You are drowning. You are being consumed from all sides. As you slip into this bubbling, gurgling nightmare, you feel on all sides of you a force sapping and sucking and licking it, caressing your flesh, within you, within your heart, within your body, roiling, shifting, moving. Every way you could be violated by your body is being done to you on all sides. And this force will not be sated, and you will be aware of it the entire time. You fail one death saving throw.
Aye. Okay.
Coulson, what are you doing?
Coulson, you got any magic? What's your deal, bro? Who are you, guy?
You are able to rush over to them, and you've heard the discourse here that a potential surgical skill challenge is potentially here. With the three of you in succession, Coulson, Augustus, and Enid, I'll break down how the surgery skill challenge can work. And you can break it into basically the three of you having a group turn as you will all be together. It's less about number of successes before failures, as it all has to happen sequentially with success. First things first will be an investigation check. Try and locate the source of the infection. Then a sleight of hand check to try and cut in the right place without causing further loss of life. And then a final, relatively challenging medicine check to remove whatever is happening within DC and stabilize him simultaneously. No matter how this goes, he will still be unconscious, but he will not be dying. If you're able to remove this thing, based on how you're understanding, it should take away the constant like draw against his life, and he should be stabilized by the magic you've already used.
What was the first check again? Sorry?
It's going to be investigation, sleight of hand, and medicine in that order.
Which one do you feel like you're the best at if you look at your list?
Mine, I'm best at sleight of hand, is +2.
What about you,
Medicine,
Nick?
I'm 0, and I think the other one I'm 0 or +1.
Investigation?
Yeah, investigation's +1, and then the other one's 0, so sleight of hand is 3.
I will caveat some of these. Colson, if you were to take sleight of hand, I would give you advantage as it's basically the cutting part, and you are a master.
I was going to say, anything with, like, if it needs to be cut up with a sword, get me to do it.
You're a weaponsmith, but you're like, you
Well, precision.
Exactly.
Yep.
You went with strength in terms of your attacking power, so I would give you advantage on the sleight of hand check to make the incision.
So, Nettie, do you want to do investigation or medicine?
It's up to you. My investigation is +1, and then my medicine's +3. So I'm better at medicine, but like it depends on what you have.
My investigation's 0.
Okay.
My medicine is +5.
Okay.
And I could have advantage on this check with my luck point from the fate that basically bestowed upon it 2 episodes ago.
So, did you want to do investigation then, since you have the luck?
I know this is
Or-
tough.
I know it's so risky.
I have
And my-
5. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and mine's only +3. But you have 0, and I have 1 investigation.
Well, it's like
So-
so minuscule, though.
so
so minuscule.
It's so that's the thing. It's so minuscule.
Is this our action the whole turn, Kyle? More or less to put my cards on the table. Okay, no spells can help aid this. Okay, great.
No, if you were to cast a spell, that would be
That's
your
your
action
action.
in place, which you could use to assist these two and then wait another round for the final check. But that would be basically your last. You would only get 1 full check at this. You're able to pull this off in 2 rounds if DeCrane survives.
Great.
There's also like I have the staff which can give people the rod, which you can take advantage if someone can get it in the ground. But I don't know if I'm the one who I know it's an action. I'm the one attuned to it. So I think when I'm the one with this,
You'd have to.
fuck me, I have all the stuff that would help. Over
Just
here.
dimension door
I have
over here.
5 things
Over
that
here.
can help. I've been counting.
Okay, Nettie, it's down to you and me. We just got
It's time to make a decision.
Oh,
Time to roll some dice.
do you want to use the luck?
I will for sure use the luck on no matter what happens here if I need it.
Okay. I'll go
Investigation.
do whatever.
I think I could do investigation. I just had
Okay.
0. You had
Who
3.
goes first?
Investigation, sleight of hand, medicine. In this, you can basically hold your action until this. Like now, we're into a thing where it's like the 3 of you are going simultaneously. It's going to be a group surgical check. So the initiative at this point for the 3 of you doesn't matter.
Okay, I'll do medicine then.
Okay, let's do it, gang. I'll go first. Investigation.
Okay, investigation check, please.
So that 1.
No.
I'm gonna use my luck.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Oh God, come on. Okay, it's just 13.
Okay.
Better
Okay.
than we could have hoped.
Yeah.
Add 0, 13.
The 3 of you begin to like kneel down. Coulson taking to one knee, Enid and Augustus on either side of DeCrane. DeCrane, do you wear like a breastplate or do you have like any chest armor? Or I kind of envision more just like a coat. Where's our art?
I do have
The Vegeta.
I have a bit of a chest plate, yeah.
With relatively quick movements, you're able to unbuckle the kind of shoulder straps and like flop down and like get at the chest and just quickly like survey DeCrane as you all kind of like settle into this process. Augustus, to include this natural one in this, you puke in your mouth just a minute, swallow it back up. Okay, what are we about to do? And then you begin just kind of like the way I'm kind of imagining with this investigation check. You're just kind of feeling, and Ray is hovering over your hand, and almost in like an X-ray, just like going over the body, and Ray's light illuminating through Decrane, like when you hold a flashlight behind your hand and you can see the red going over in this kind of odd way, and right over the heart. Not necessarily surprising, though surprising in its position. Not to the left where a humanoid's heart is, but dead center in Decrane's chest is a glowing bluer light beneath your kind of fiery light, but a rapidly expanding darkness at the core.
It's right here. It's right here. That's where we gotta get it.
Dead center on the chest.
Coulson, please don't kill my friend, but you gotta cut right here.
A sleight of hand check as Coulson, you set your blade ready to make an incision, as it has to be a deep incision into the chest, but you don't want to go so deep that you pierce anything vital, and not so weak that you have to do multiple passes. So it's not a particularly simple check, but it is not overly challenging.
At advantage?
You have advantage.
First one I got 5.
Mhm.
Second one, 19.
Amazing.
Oh.
Amazing. Great stuff.
You guys have never seen a smoother blade. Decrane, your skin parts like paper, like butter beneath this blade. You noticeably immediately a kind of black ooze begins to seep from the wound and begins to like pull itself out in like spindly little legs, like spider legs, pulling itself up and out of the wound. That is now maybe about 2-3 inches long, and just the width of the blade enough to try and work your way in. Enid, with Ray's light positioned perfectly over top, the blade having parted the way and the ichor kind of pulling the skin apart, you can see this surprising blue light from within Decrane that is now beginning to kind of flicker and spark as what looks like a black leech is attached and like eating away at his heart. I need you to make a medicine check. The DC is 15.
Oh boy.
Oh my god.
boy.
Okay. Okay. 18.
Oh. Allie, all those bad rolls have paid off for this moment. Oh
This moment
my
right
god. Jesus.
For the last like 3 games, you did not roll better than like a 12.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Enid, with the practiced speed of an archer and a very trained weaponsmith, you grab hold of one of the kind of like extending tendrils and kind of latch them all together and begin to kind of like pull up, and you watch Decrane begin to convulse violently, his chest rising up as this thing is pulling him from the heart up. You hear this kind of stretching, snapping, tearing as you pull it up, and with your blade or maybe even an arrow, just to be even more precise, just slip, slip, and it cuts free. Instantly, under Ray's light, just bursts into flame and cinders away. And Decrane's chest, you can see not a heart, but like an arcane core of blue energy in this kind of pseudo heart construction, but not a normal heart, but instantly begins to like settle. DeCrane is still unconscious, is no longer dying, but is stable.
Oh God.
I would recommend another cure wounds of some
I
kind.
immediately put another cure wounds in him. Close that wound up.
The wound
I
begins
think
to
it's
heal.
okay.
I
No,
just look
like-
at his heart and I go, did they like break him or something? Whoa.
He's so cool.
He really is.
Andy, I think my sister did it. Also, Mr. Coulson, I think also helped a lot.
And you too. And you too.
Yeah, that was okay.
I don't know who that is. I think I'm just like sitting cross-legged, like just so dejected and trying to just deal with it all.
Maybe we should get him. Mr. Coulson, do you have a house that you were in? Maybe we could try and get off the street, and then we can try and get our friend over here.
He's also really heavy, so can you carry him for us?
Yeah, he's too heavy.
If I can do that, I'll hide you.
I have actually a question before we continue for Brock. You have a choice, your choice of 3 options. I won't reveal too much of your backstory and your character. However, you have found within Brundr Kiln, which you've spent a good amount of time here. You know very much of this city. In your efforts to protect yourself from these creatures and to try and save as many of the citizens as you can over the time that you've been under fire here. You have 3 options for where you would like to try and hole up as like a safe house where you've been trying to keep people safe, hidden, and as like a base of operations for yourself to kind of operate out of. So you have 3 options. There's Fira's Rest, is a temple to the Lady of the Moon. It's a well-fortified, made of stone, has clean water and rations, though they've likely been whittled down pretty significantly at this point. However, it's at the center of town. So movement in and out is often very difficult with more than just one person. For you, that's not a huge deal, but moving people in and out draws a lot of attention. The second would be Ilderfold Spire, which is basically a large, almost like resort, like apartment or like building. It's tall. It gets people off the ground. It's slightly elevated views, so you get a better kind of bird's eye view over the town for creature movements. Part of it has been destroyed in the initial earthquakes that occurred and the eventual swarming of the town. And also as a negative, the ins and outs are significant choke points. You have only really one or in and out entry egress at the lower side. So if you're getting swarmed from below, they've taken out your exit option. And the final is the mill. It's a homestead of the Gilgroup family on the eastern outskirts of town, where the concentration of the spawn has been lowest. It has an underground kind of storage chamber to provide extra sound dampening and hiding. It's easiest to sneak in and out of, given its proximity away from the vast majority of things. However, there is a significant choke point for a quick exit. It is a 1 in, 1 out. It's tight and cramped for the numbers you have, and it does not provide ideal sight lines as it is on the outskirts of town. Where would you choose to have made your base of operations?
I would choose number 2.
Ilderfold's Bow. Okay.
2 is the hotel one, high ground. Okay.
Sounds good. Then that would be where you would bring these folk back to. As we go to that moment, and as Coulson begins to lead you all through the city, we can kind of handle it eventually. Andy, you can make your way across with enough time and effort. It's not so hard for a rope to get thrown across and you to figure your way across. It's more about the immediacy that was needed. With you on the other side, DeCrane is going to be out for like a minute. Will you wait until he's capable of moving on of his own volition, or would you want to get somewhere safe to Mr. Coulson's kind of discretion with him still unconscious?
I mean, I'm at 7. We could potentially, if we short rested at Mr. Coulson's house, and then how far does Coulson think it is to this hotel? Like, could we encounter more baddies?
You could certainly encounter creatures anywhere within this city. Like movement here is always watched. It is dangerous to move around. So if you wanted to hole up back in the kind of house that you were watching earlier and take a short rest before traveling, that wouldn't be a terrible idea. But if you were to stay in this area, there's a likelihood creatures will come investigating the noise.
Maybe we go just a little ways away and then find a place to short rest. I'm just thinking of the last time we did spooky mountaintop and we didn't short rest and then immediately got in another fight and it went so bad so quick.
Yeah.
Would you guys be down? We move
Yeah.
a little bit away and then Coulson, if you could find us another hideout.
In that case, I would ask for an investigation check from Coulson, please.
One moment, please.
See if you can find a relatively safe, somewhere you've already scouted.
10.
Okay,
Please?
it's not the strongest stronghold you'll ever find. However, for a short rest, it'll serve us enough to get everyone their breath back, get DeCrane back on his feet, and then make the proper journey through the city. To answer the one of the previous questions, Coulson, to get to Ilderfold Spire, it's on the north side, so it's actually probably the closest of the three options, and maybe a half hour at most, like taking a very slow walk to get there, to get to the spire from this position. So, but it is still smart to take the short rest ahead of that.
Do we have permission to take a short rest or do we want to wait?
Everyone can go ahead and begin the short rest process, though I will ask for a stealth check all around. DeCrane, you don't have to worry about this one.
Because you're dead. I wonder
Unless
if my
you-
Pass Without a Trace was still up. Did I use a Pass Without a Trace with us? No, I have not burnt any seconds. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to burn a second, Pass Without a Trace. So everyone add plus 10 to this roll?
That's very good that you did that.
And that lasts for an hour.
Yeah. So I guess just for the short rest, but it's
No,
worth
that's
it to worry.
Perfect. That's going to basically nullify the need for most of these rolls, but I want to hear them anyways.
16.
Do you know how I do a short rest on the app? Like what that would be in?
Yeah, there should be at the top right an option for resting.
It looks like a campfire. Oh, actually, you might have to manage your character.
Oh, I see it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a little
Kyle,
it's a short rest or long rest.
I accidentally hit sleight of hand. I get +2 in it. I get +2 in stealth as well. It's a nat 20. Can I just keep that roll as opposed
that's
to rolling again?
That's the same modifier.
Yeah,
Just roll the
that's what I
d20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. 32.
Jesus.
Enid and Coulson stealth checks, please. Kind of super not needed after like 2 successes already and Pass Without a Trace, but we're already doing it.
I rolled a 20.
Yeah, good to go.
Like a nat 20?
So
Yeah,
it-
not 20.
Oh, great. Amazing.
I know.
Both us bunnies did. That's great.
Funny twin nat 20s.
We're just
Yeah.
like, oh my God, that was great.
Okay, yeah, no more 220s already, and no Pass Without a Trace. This is unnecessary. Please go ahead with the short rest.
Let's get Kev back up. Kev, burn some short rest
Go through
dice here.
Some of your hit dice.
I was like, let me go roll hit dice. I'm at full health. I wasn't in that fight.
You do get a spell back though.
Must
I
be
didn't
nice.
spell that. Yeah, I'm doing arcane recovery.
1, 2. I might have to burn a bunch of these. Okay, I was at 7. 1, 2.
I have one healing thing I can do if anyone's still not in great shape.
I'm at 24 out of 30. I'll burn one more.
I burned 4. I'm back to full.
And I'm back to full as well. I burned 3.
I only burned 1, and I'm back to full.
Oh, wow. Great.
Yeah, I didn't
You
take
know
all
what's
the
also
damage.
full? The taste of this drink. Sheesh. Ad promo.
Cutting this out. Cutting this right out.
Use the promo code BROCK420
No.
for 50% off.
Unless they give us actual sponsorship money, they're not getting in this.
And then also, Brock would reset your short rest, your second wind, and your action surge as well.
Fighters are dope on a short. Having a short rest as a fighter is the best fucking thing. Fighters are
You get action surge back on a short rest?
Yeah.
Oh,
I will
man.
also add that you guys had waited until dark, so it is like nighttime. It is like you just took a short rest in the late evening, so you're looking at like 9-10 o'clock currently.
I got 46 health back.
Okay.
Great.
Were you adding your con each time too?
Amazing.
Okay, are we all good?
Yeah, we can jump back in here.
Okay, so with the hours-long rest, everyone is able to kind of put themselves back together a little. And Crane, coming back to consciousness, as you do about kind of midway through this rest, maybe even most of the way through this rest, before you fully come back to consciousness, I would like you to throw me an intelligence saving throw, please.
Oh boy.
Did you say intelligence?
Yes, please.
All right. And it is an 18.
Nice.
Great. What do you add to that? Or does it matter?
It does matter.
Intelligence is 0.
0. Perfect. So, in the what were your dying moments before you were pulled from death, more accurately, death was pulled from your heart by your allies. You were experiencing something profoundly disturbing, and you were exposed to something most people don't get to walk away from. And in that kind of realization, in that kind of piecing together the experience, and still like not being able to fully play back, like once you come to consciousness, it's like a dream begins to slip away and you can remember bits and pieces, you remember feelings, and that's possibly the worst part, is remembering these feelings. You are able to compartmentalize enough that it does not haunt you, does not leave lasting mental wounds. However, you are still left with the imagery of the imagery of a field of black beneath stars. And the field of black stretched for miles. And the field of black was not a field, but something living, shifting and moving, roiling. It felt like it was drawing closer. The last element that you can retain, that you can't quite quantify, is an element of being connected to what you can best associate with a hive mind. You were at one for the fraction of a second, but it's so massive, it's so hard to like forget the experience. You were connected with every other creature within this space for less than 1 second. But all of these creatures were interconnected and you were bound to them. You felt their insatiable hunger, thirst, and something deeper and darker at the heart of it all. Before it slips away. But thankfully, based on your good rolls and good luck, you're not overly scarred by the encounter, and you do come to consciousness collectively in this abandoned, it seems like a homestead, stone cottage, seems like rustically fitted, and but clearly not lived in recently. and has sustained some kind of damage that you would find in most other structures here would coincide with earthquake and shifting land. There's large cracks and sections that have caved in, but not enough that you can't find respite.
Oh my God, DeCrane, how do you feel?
I can't explain how I feel, but it's good to be back. I don't know what happened. Most of it's a blur. I remember fighting, and then I remember nothing. But there was times where I had a very uneasy feeling. I can say that. Very horrific feeling.
That might have been Coulson had to stab you right in the chest, and we looked at your heart for a bit, so that could have contributed to it being not so pleasant.
Yeah, you might want to go get that looked at, by the way, at some point.
In good time, we can do that, yes. But what happened after?
I mean, the weird, like, inky monster, oozy stuff, it was, like, drawn to your heart, and it was, like, trying to consume you from the inside, and then we were able to, with Coulson, and Nettie was so good, she was, like, so precise with an arrow, and she was able to, like, slay this thing and take it off your heart. Andy just can't get across things. It was pretty embarrassing for her. She was just stuck on the other side the whole time. But everyone else did like such a good job. And not to say she didn't do a good job. It's just, like she wasn't there. Speaking of other people, Coulson, can we call you by your first name, Coulson? Or do you prefer Mr. Coulson?
I prefer Agent Coulson.
Can't even make a joke at this.
Can't even try with that one.
Well, I have to thank Agent Coulson and the rest of you for helping me come back.
Are you an agent of some sort of special force or something?
Wait,
Private, don't ask me about it.
Should we be worried? Should we be worried?
About Coulson?
Yes.
No, he stabbed DC, but like he could have just straight up killed him and Nettie and I, and he was so nice. He's the nicest man I've ever met. In a
Hey, do you hate magic?
He's so nice.
What are your opinions about magic, Mr. Coulson guy? I know what your opinions are.
As long as you don't use it on me, it's fine by me.
See, he's so nice.
Like it.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Coulson, what happened to this city? What's the deal? Should we go somewhere else? Are we safe in this house? Like, what should we do?
Well, I've lived here most of my life, and it's never been this bad. I think I need your help.
Okay.
Defeat this evil. We need to fight back.
We're in. Say no more.
When did all this happen? Like, when did the giant... I'm assuming the giant fissures in the ground haven't always been there.
Since they've come, I don't know, time isn't the same. I have no idea if it's been weeks, months, hours. And I don't want to pull this card either, but you kind of owe me.
We do owe you. We owe you his life. Yeah.
Absolutely. Which is why I'm trying to get more information so that I can potentially help you rid the town of this evil. We just kind of need to know what it is the evil is first, and how long it's been happening, and how in things are, so we can try to figure out how to help.
Do you have a plan? Do you know where we can go kill it? What's the idea?
See, can I say out of game for a sec?
Totally. Yeah.
Can I reference my notes? Because I don't remember if I know this.
Just ask me. I got you, babe.
Or can you just tell us?
Yeah. Yeah, you can just say,
fuck, I should have reviewed that email.
I always do that. I'm like, Kyle, I think I know this. Please provide the answer.
So, two things. One, it is difficult to recall the passage of time in this state. You've been in a survival state for the better part of 5 months. This has been going on for a long time. The fissures formed one evening in like a random sudden accident. Geysers of boiling geothermal water began to burst through the town. The path of destruction was from a north-south beeline straight to the heart of the Halden Falls, to the falls, this central kind of crescent waterfall in the heart of the hot springs that are on the south side of town. Anything on this immediate line was just like destroyed. And when the quakes began to settle, the fissure had formed around the exterior of the town, almost as if like it had been like sunken and like broken. You guys collectively have seen some of the ramifications of these fissures on your journey here. Like it was a widespread, long kind of line of this force, whatever happened here. As the people began to pick themselves back up, and plenty of people died in the initial accident, in the earthquakes, like people were lost, and those who began to try and flee tried to cross the chasm and could not make it, but didn't have cool powers like you guys to survive, just perished. Quickly you began to kind of take, Coulson, your experience, and took on the point of like protecting people, trying to help them as best they could, and that's where Ilderfold Spire became this base of operations, trying to like hold people together in as safe a place as possible. Once you were confident enough that no further earthquakes were going to come, and immediately following the fact, after everything began to kind of put itself back together, the creatures began to spill forth from the rock face below the waterfall, where this darkness, this cavity had grown. All of these creatures began to spill forth like a tide of kind of like the oil slick spill kind of sludge, but taken form of its own way and kind of picking and pulling itself across. People began to fall beneath it, and when they fell, they were brought back as the creatures you've been fighting, these kind of zombified husks.
That's what I thought, but I didn't want to be like, it's this, and then I'm completely right.
You're good.
The killing them is removing their heads.
The other thing I think Scott asked was, do you have a plan? You have come to one realization that these people can't live in this town any longer. You do need to try and get as many of the people who you have saved out, and eventually yourself. There's not a way that you're going to be able to fight the creatures within the city as their numbers continually replenish and grow. They're growing faster than your numbers are. So to try and get some of the innocent people out, you have kind of come to the realization that there's still plenty of water up in the basin above, and you can sail the basin south and get free of this place and get south and go down to the Southlands into the kingdoms of Ironhome with relative ease, provided you can get some kind of sailing vessels. There were not many sailing vessels, however, there is a what was kind of at one point like a place to go, and it was like a party like boat that would take you around, but they did have things you could rent out. It was
a fucking cruise ship.
Not a cruise ship, more of like literally like a party boat,
like a pontoon party boat.
Pontoon party boat, sick.
Yeah,
sick.
That's exactly what it was. It's called
the Black
Good Times
Parade.
Landing.
Oh,
no, Good Times Landing.
Good Times Landing is a solid name.
That's a pretty great name.
Yeah.
This couple has this business up on the upper right side of the basin, Ilderfold's basin, and they had what are called folding boats, these kind of artificed magical items that condense down into like the size of like a briefcase, but fold out into large canoes that can easily hold 4 medium-sized creatures and more if they're small. Ironhome typically has small folk, so you could easily hold 6 to 8 smaller folk in these boats. and just they come like with their own magically produced oars and all these things, as well as a sail. So if you're able to get to Good Times Landing and smuggle a couple of these back to your crew and then pick a good time to let them get up to Ilderfold's Basin, they can set sail and hopefully get out while hopefully you all distract the creatures and allow these innocent citizens to leave. This would be, I think, where you needing them comes in. Plus your desire for revenge can never be sated.
When you described, or when Coulson, my apologies, described the waterfall.
I prefer AC, actually.
AC and DC. Oh my fucking god, AC, DC. Did that sound like the waterfall where the former rod is supposed to be? Oh, man.
I mean, that totally makes sense. The last one was found right by the base of a crack. It's going to be in the same spot.
Yikes. These are like clearly like powerful points of like energy and magic that like help with this divining network, and these bad spooky things are originating from them.
Something that I think I figured out is these things are attracted to like a lot of power. Strong magic energy, something like that. So if we ever, I mean, I don't have anything other than the rod, but if we ever need to try to attract them, pull them somewhere, if someone gets potentially tried to take over again, we can try to present something shinier. Maybe they'll go for it.
That's actually a good point, DC. You asked like what happened. We should all remember when these things die, they like explode, and that's what got on you when you, I don't know if it took you down or you already down and it exploded near you, but we got to be so careful when we're fighting these things to stay away from them when they burst.
It took him down and he failed the saving throw. So we got to try to make sure we try to just generally keep our distance, which I mean, most of us are actually pretty good at. I'm not close to near the sword there. I feel like you're kind of made for fighting up close, but just don't be near these things when you're not feeling great.
So if our tasks here are go steal some boats, then hook up the townspeople at Good Times Landing, I think I already butchered it, and then we can make a distraction by trying to replace the rod at that waterfall. It could probably be a good time for them to escape because I think that would go bad real quick. Does that sound like a good 1, 2, 3?
I think it could work. I think we're gonna have to see. Hey, Coulson, do these things like mostly come out at night? Or is it like all the time?
Seems to be random.
He also prefers AC.
Right. You have so many names.
Just a couple.
Who on earth would have that many names?
Really cool guys. Really cool guys.
I think we kind of need to sleep. I mean, we might end up hitting some of these things. How far is this other place that you want to take us?
Yeah, can you take us to that cool hotel, AC?
I'll take you there.
It wouldn't be far from here. At this point, you'd be about 25 minutes, like walking, like still stealthily, like taking it slow. Like if you ran, you could make it faster, but that's a bad idea.
Let's go real stealthy, like to that hotel.
As long as you never tell another soul where it is.
I'm not sure who we'd tell, because, like, isn't everyone else, like, a kind of possessed?
Annie, just promise him. Promise AC.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who else I would tell, so I absolutely will not tell anyone else.
That's not what he asked. I promise I'll never tell anyone about this.
Oh, neither will I.
Not very good at secrets.
Andy.
I get excited. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to tell anybody.
And the crane barely talks. He just stares moodily at things.
Yeah, it's true.
If you guys are setting off, I will require another stealth check for you to move through this through the town.
Guess what? We're spending another second to do pass without trace because we are not getting in another fight.
If that is the case, then the DC is significantly easier.
I rolled a natural 1.
Good.
That's pretty bad, though.
That's pretty shit. How does this work with Porton? It's me. I know I'm being shitty. Can I fix it with a 6?
Of course, yeah, great.
Great. I'm going to replace it with one of my 6s because I have 2 6s, the potentially shittest Portons of all time.
Yeah,
Two
like
sixes.
any roll you make, unless like I specifically say you can't use Porton, you can use your Portons on anything you do and anything that is
Great.
visibly obvious that other people are doing.
I thought it was just because it's something over time where we were like, that's kind of weird to be like a check over time. Okay.
No, it's only going to be in certain cases where like it's going to be kind of hinky, but for this, also with Pass Without Trace, where I already said like the DC barely matters. Yeah.
18.
27.
18, 27, good to go. Call them out. Stealth checks, +10.
In times like this, I like to remember to stealthily hide in case everyone dies, or shield for short.
How long were you working on that one, Frog?
Couple minutes.
21 for me.
Great.
13 and 6, 19 for me.
I got
+10.
16.
Yeah, you guys are golden. With relative ease and surprising quiet, Coulson, you don't normally move with a crew, and certainly not a crew of this size. It is very much like you don't need to worry about them. They are surprisingly quiet and aided by some druidic magic. The shadows cling to you, and your steps are even quieter than normal. You all collectively make your way through what is the shadow of a town. This town, you can see the elements of homesteads, farms. The crops have long just fallen to husks. The earth is barren and dry. There are, city squares and centers that you can see the remnants of, like party fare and like lanterns that hang low and all manner of like what would have been a fun place. You can imagine the color drained from this place. Slowly but surely you make your way to kind of not quite city center, but like you'd be in line with the city center, but on the north side. So not very far from where you began your way into the town, but it is perfectly lined up as you make your way in with the center of Ilderfold's Basin. As you set into the center of the town, far off to your right, what would be the west, you still see the smoky mountain and the faint flicker of red that you can see of Ilderfold, the Worldfire Mountain, the volcano to the west, and framed by the moonlight above through the haze of this city. You can still see the rise of Ilderfold's Basin, the massive crescent, like tall standing basin of water, and then tiered down it, where there was a waterfall at one point, tons of these little pools, that hot spring pools that would be built, like not built, but naturally occurring within the side of the basin. You would imagine would have been rejuvenating and lovely for people to have come, were it not covered in weird ichor zombies. You make your way to Ilderfold Spire, this resort-like kind of apartment, tower. Make your way up to the 6th floor, which is the top floor, where Coulson leads you into, on the east side of the building, a large suite that is open, and inside you find a number of other figures. There are a small group of, actually several groups that mostly are sleeping at this point, though you see a handful are still awake near the kind of the south wall, where there's a bank of open kind of windows looking down into the city, kind of keeping a watch. There's a very, very, very low fire tucked back and away and like guarded to protect from any kind of sight lines, but just enough to kind of keep the people who are sleeping kind of warm. But you see lots of smaller folk, whether they're small folk or children, you're not sure at this time as they're sleeping, just in various kind of nice sheets. This is a resort place, so the blankets are quite nice. There's lush pillows and things, so it's not like they're sleeping quite in squalor.
The thread count on this is so nice.
It's really nice. The patterns are intricate and beautiful. But you do see about a dozen sleeping figures and another 3 that are kind of keeping vigil, watching out over, and who stand up kind of at attention as you enter, though immediately you recognize like a sigh of like relief when Coulson steps in first, and then a kind of quizzical like uncertainty when 4 unknowns step in behind. Coulson, you recognize Zoya, the turtle who is on watch with you, kind of a newcomer to town, but one who you've come to find, 1, great storyteller, 2, very calming in personality. There is Lewin Elderbeard, an elderly dwarf brewer who is he's a brewer in town. He's been here longer than you, and knows very much about Ironhome and has his loudly offered opinions on many a thing, though less loud these days. And Vera Hartsmore, a priestess of Fira, the Lady of the Moon, goddess of fertility and love. She is also on watch, though you see she was like about to depart and go to bed herself. Was kind of separated from the other 2 as you all enter in.
Hi.
Hi.
Where were they see?
Hello, Coulson. Where on earth did you find these fellows? You see Zoya, the turtle, kind of step forward and rise up. A little elderly, kind of creaks and cracks as he kind of stands up with a cane to help him stand, and as he steps over with his kind of heavy footfalls, but a very pleasant demeanor.
They're with me, and they're here to help avenge the town. You may call them
Oh no.
the Avenger.
Don't sue us, Disney.
His name, that was satire.
That's a
God, I love that name though.
That's a peculiar name. I don't think it'll catch on.
The Revengers?
A pleasure to have you, and Master Coulson. You watch the elder kind of dwarf step up. Coulson, I gotta show you something over here. We saw this earlier this night. And he kind of pulls you off to the side and begins just kind of going over some of like the motions and movements through the town that they've seen. Some of the creatures have been like kind of moving and shifting, and he points out this particular spot where he makes a note of them like amassing. He just kind of points that out, and he's kind of gone for a second as this portal kind of now addresses the 4 of you. Andy, instantly, you recognize the markings on the turtle's shoulder of his shell. And as he kind of turns a couple times, they expand over the entirety of the back of the shell as etchings rather than tattoos of a shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my god, hi. You Zoya? Is that your name?
Indeed, yes.
Do you have a head? What's your heady height? I'm gonna take off my thing. Just to show my tattoos. Oh my god, it's been so long since I've seen any shepherds. How long have you been here?
I've all but forgotten my heading and standards. My apologies, miss. I am Zoya of the Shale Striders.
Andy, heading of the Endless Horizon.
Endless Horizon?
Wow. Yeah, this is... Okay. Oh, hi. Sorry, everybody. This is Augustus, and this is Enid, and that's the Crane. We've had a night.
In fairness, I've had quite a few myself in this city.
Yeah.
I have to imagine you've encountered some of the denizens here.
Yeah, the Crane mostly. I was on the sidelines.
Bet you 100 gold you haven't experienced what I've been through.
Don't bet him it. Trust me.
I'm not much of a betting portal, but I think just at a first glance, that's not a good bet for me to make.
I'm going to lean over to Augustus and be like, he's just like the turtle from our story, the turtle and the heron gone.
We will write this story and publish the story.
That's amazing.
I always forget who wins in that story.
It's the turtle. Because
Oh, is it?
it's so cool. Yeah, that's why.
Because he's cool.
He kind of immediately just wants to hear what happened, and he wants to break down everything that you've been through. He welcomes you over to the little sitting area they've had and begins to offer what kind of drinks that they have, which is really not much in the way of fare. He doesn't offer any, noticeably doesn't offer any food, but does offer a couple of different kinds of drinks.
The hotel has a really big bar, but their kitchens are a little.
It's probably it.
The kitchen is on the east side that is destroyed.
Share them. I think I would be willing to share nothing about, obviously, the Infinite Alliance, nothing about our rods, but maybe just share that we've encountered those things before, in the north or something, where we came from.
Okay. He also, as you're kind of going through and he's listening intently and raptly, you can see there's not a moment where he's not actively listening. He's not actively interested in everything you have to say. And as soon as Enid speaks up, he shifts attention to full attention. There's never a wandering moment, or a sign of any desire for you to stop. He will continuously absorb whatever it is you have to offer, and thoughtful returns in what you have said. And if you make these kind of remarks, he chuckles along, the best person to ever tell a story to.
God, he's so nice. What a great guy.
Andy, you notice just as you're kind of part of the story, but also just looking over some of the tattoos of the what would be tattoos, but of the etchings, the markings of on his shell. You watch they spread from left shoulder down across, almost in a long line, and then sweep back as just this kind of sweeping river of pathways and trail headings and history. You notice specifically the sign of the Shell Striders. Obviously is kind of front and center as the beginning, the main origins of the markings. But then you notice the telltale signs of what was a chronicler.
I was trying to find the word because I had a feeling.
He fits very much with the figure who would learn the news and recount the tales and spread wide with the word of mouth. You have no experience with this person before, but you do know of the Shell Striders. They're a pretty well-known heading within the Shepherds. But that's, there are hundreds of every kind of group. Well, maybe not hundreds, but that's, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of us.
A lot of each. So it's not so surprising to see one randomly anywhere. But the fact that he is prominently displayed means he's been with them for a significant amount of time, and as a chronicler, has a relatively high standing with it. He does go through once you're finished kind of telling your side, and he does recount his side of this tale within Brundr Kiln, coming here on his own, not necessarily as a part of the Shepherds, not having led anyone here, but just coming on his own for his own kind of voyage, wanting to experience the rejuvenating powers of the hot springs and just experience a place that he's never necessarily been to. He's was intending to make his own kind of pilgrimage down to the Stormbreak Point, to the Shattered Isles, is part of the Shale Strider kind of origins of their heading, but it is uncommon territory. It's not necessarily common, especially in the last 200 to 250 years since the Day of Dark Sun. Going beyond Candorne, at least western beyond Candorne, has been tricky. So a lot of shepherds have kept to the east. But yeah, he kind of just goes through how he was here when things fell apart, and watching the city fall and collapse in this natural disaster, and then weeks later, out of this cavity in the base of the mountain, this flow of black ichor like oil that suddenly split apart and became corporeal individual creatures swarming over creatures and people running for their lives. He tells it so vividly, you can feel your heart quickening and like your pulse racing and a bit of a flop sweat falling over you as like he gets to points where he was kind of pinned down and had to hide, and eventually came to find Coulson over time, and how he's been here now for the better part of like 4 months, kind of locked in this room, or within the spire itself. But he, even when he's like talking about it though, like he doesn't feel like lost or stuck. It's just another part of the story.
Do you guys have a name for it? Like, do you call it anything?
Come to call them spawn. They seem to continuously spawn from what we have yet to really identify, but the spawn is what we've come to identify them as. I don't know. Coulson is one for the naming of things in our way, but it is a fitting name.
We promised Coulson we would help in any way we can. We were thinking of assisting in some sort of escape through the basin, through water, but any way we can help now, just let us know.
Just your being here and having the interest in helping and having come such a far way to come here specifically shows your initiative and your desire to help. I know you have your own motives and your own needs, of course. But such a thing does not mean that you are not willing to help.
Right now, I think I'm so interested in literally any. I would love to talk for hours, but I think right now we kind of just need to rest and get our bearings and try to figure out what the plan for tomorrow is.
Rest is a wonderful idea. I hate to ask for such things. However, given you're the first people who have come in such time, times are what they are. Our rations and stores have significantly depleted. We've taken to separating as best we can what we have to offer, but we do have decent numbers, and I fear for the children that they are not being nourished appropriately.
Yeah, so we have some rations. We have not been tracking for the 2 weeks we've been walking. And taking them off each day.
When did you, you haven't replenished since you left Karden, right?
No, and then Scott was kind of in certain times
supplementing with Goodberry.
Supplementing with Goodberry, but not
and
like
the shroomies.
Oh, that's right. The mushroom people give us food, but
get you high.
So high.
I
don't have it prepared, but I could prepare Goodberry tomorrow
this is more a note from him to say people are sleeping. So in the morning, if it was a communal sharing, we wanted to kind of put the word out there before other people were around.
Totally.
So just something to kind of put in your minds. And if, you did have the chance to
prepare it.
create magical food, that would certainly go off
Overwhelmed.
pretty successfully.
Yeah, I currently have. I had 28 because I got some extra.
Yeah, so it was 7 days south of the summit that you've traveled to get here. So 7 days have been used to get here, and I think it turned into 10 days underground, but at least half of those were supplemented by your friends down below, and we'll say the good berries would cover some of that. So like 12 of your rations have been expended.
Great.
Okay.
I think that's fair with like the adding in good berry and various other things you found along the way.
Oh yeah, we tried to eat crab the one time, and then it got.
Something happened to it.
Yeah.
Someone burned it.
So you do have like a good amount of rations still remaining, I think.
I have 16 left.
Yeah.
16 days worth.
Something just to like add into your thinking. As Zoya and Lewin, the dwarf who was speaking with Coulson, and we'll jump back to that for just a moment. Coulson, the dwarf who pulled you aside and showed you kind of the movements around the city. The movements around outside the city are nonsensical. Like they're just kind of random motion all around the city. However, 2 points of interest will hopefully interest you and potentially be of use to the party. One, obviously, the cavern entrance that you did not know existed prior to the waterfall being dispelled as a result of the water level falling in the basin above. This cavern behind the waterfall has been the source of any new spawn, and where they initially came from have been flowing from beneath, from within the wall, from within underground, headed out into the city from this area, and they have continued to do so. And you do find them most amassed at this point. However, this new point, this mass that Lewin kind of points out to you on the western side of the city, kind of on the way up to the basin, towards the mountain, towards the Ilderfold a little bit, it looks like a big pile of them. Like they have just kind of all come together and just piled on together. Like what you can't tell from this distance is if they're expending enough energy, and like this is a death pile, like they're just like piling their dead bodies and it's just sitting, or if it's like a hive, or if it's a way to make more of them and like by congealing, or if it's like a energy conservation. Like you have literally no way of knowing like how or what it is, but they have continually come and begun to make a relatively large mass of this black ichor on the west side of the city. Southwest side. Yeah. Something of note for you.
That sounds gross.
At this point, Lewin has gone to bed. Vera has gone to bed. Zoya is going to dismiss himself, and the morning, hopefully, will greet us brighter with newfound friends. And I do very much look forward to speaking with you again and hearing more of your great tales. And of course, the far horizon, I hope to connect with you. I'm sure we have many tales to tell one another. But let us do so in the light. Rest is needed.
Do you want us to stay on watch? We could do a watch thing. Do you have other people doing that? We're happy to help.
That's a Coulson question.
Cousin, do you want us to help on watch? We could all take turns.
Yes, that'd be good. That's a good
Hey,
plan.
DeCrane, you shouldn't do the whole rest this time. You literally have something eating your heart.
I'll take the first watch, though.
Do you want to take it with Coulson? I feel like you guys would really you're hitting it off.
I don't mind, though. He looks like one of our stronger members of the party. Do we?
What are you saying? What are you trying to say?
I'm saying after I retire for the night, who is going to watch us?
Like me and
Us, like the rest of the group.
And if the spawn,
Everyone else who's here? Yeah,
if the spawn comes, I'll do this. You go 1, 2, boom, boom.
I will
Wake
say, let's
everybody up.
not, as much as the bunny twins are, I'm sure, loving to hang out together, neither of you can see in the dark, so let's just, like, separate that a little bit.
Colson, can you see in the dark? Do you have dark vision 60 feet?
Of course.
Also point out, elves only need to sleep for 4 hours for a long rest. So he has trance abilities.
Fine. Oh, well, I'm going to go and watch with Colson. And then, unless, Nettie, do you want to go and watch with Colson? And I'll go and watch with DC.
Whatever you want to do. I'm good either way. They're
You
both so cool.
You go and watch with Colson. I'll go and watch with DC in case I need to heal him because he got stabbed and his heart was eaten today. And then, Andy, maybe you just, I don't know. You could just sleep.
Mind.
Okay.
I mean, I can. You need 3 people to do proper watch.
Do you want Sweet Tooth? And by Sweet Tooth, I mean
Who's Sweet
I was a
Tooth,
little
Nettie?
confused there for a second.
Sweet Tooth? Yeah, you and Toots, we can have a good watch.
Or a sweet
Yeah,
tooth.
sure.
Or Sweet Tooth. That was the first squirrel.
that was a real squirrel you had at one point. They don't live.
oh no, memories are coming back.
This is all happening. Okay.
Easy enough. You are
Yeah.
able to split off to your respective rests. And if you wish to, you can break off into your kind of watches and rests. Those of you who are going to take long rest, go ahead. And if you wish to take a perception check while you are on your watch, you're welcome to. Or if you wish to have any conversations, feel free now. Otherwise, we can jump ahead to the morning.
I rolled a 17 on my watch, and I got nothing to say to the crane. I've said everything I need to say to the crane. I will secretly, maybe I can do this as a stealth thing. I'll try and be conspicuous about this. I'm going to try and tear little bits off one of the sheets so that I can add it to fringe for my coat.
Easy enough. Super easy.
Just slowly do that while I'm on watch.
Very easy enough to do. With a 17, I would say your watch like corroborates what Lewin and Coulson relayed, that like twice over the watch you've seen like a group of 3 or 4 of these creatures all like come from various parts of the town and made their way to this one point on the southwest point, and it's a weird moment where like actually you can't see very far in the dark, so you just kind of see they all just converge at this point, but you can kind of make out this like weird conversion point.
Can I point it out to DeCrane and see if he could see any better?
Yeah, you can point it out to him easily enough. DC, you can make a perception check if you want.
Beat my 17 with eyes that can see in the dark. 5. Great.
5, and I think my perception is 5. Yeah.
You can just kind of make out the same point, like but it's too difficult to really get any further detail. Nothing much more to see. And with that, unless there's anything you want to say to each other, nothing else happens over your watch. Like it's relatively quiet. You're safe up this high. Nothing seems to, look up in from these creatures. They're not particularly smart. Crane kicks the table out the
Did
window.
you hurt your knee? Oh man. Hey, DeCrane, we don't have to talk much, but just wanted to say I'm glad you didn't die today. That would have been pretty bad.
Well, I appreciate it, and I know I couldn't have. I probably wouldn't be here without all of you, so you have my gratitude.
Appreciate that. You always look after me and my sister and Eddie, so Eddie and Andy.
Let me ask you one thing.
Yeah, anything.
That Agent Coulson character,
AC, yeah.
do you trust him?
I trust everyone implicitly as soon as I meet them. So yeah, 100% I trust that
Fair
guy.
enough. But I feel like you also have a good intuition. And, I would say just keep your guard up a bit with him.
Okay.
I think he's a good guy, but I'm not fully convinced.
Okay. I'll keep my guard up. I will just say, he did open up your chest and look at your heart today, and so if he was super bad, he could have done something weird. But instead, he really saved the day.
It's very true, but it could also be part of a grander picture.
Do people do that? Do they lie at first to get something they want?
It happens all the time.
Oh my god. I wonder if it's happened to me before.
It probably has.
What?
You've probably lied for something too.
Never.
You're telling me you've never lied to your sister to get something from her?
No, I guess I have. It's mostly her to stop bothering me. Like one time she just kept throwing acorns in my face, and I lied and said I saw a bear, so we had to go home.
We lie when we cannot face reality, but that's okay.
Okay. God, you're so... Did you face a lot of lies as a kid?
Where I came from, lying was an art.
I don't think I'd be good at art there.
No, you would not want to be part of that.
Okay. Augustus replays every conversation he's ever had with anyone over the night, trying to think if they were lying or not. Very
You
concerned.
come to the realization there have been an astounding number of lies.
What?
As the evening continues on, is there any conversations that want to happen between Coulson and Enid on watch number 2?
I don't know.
Move to the morning. You
there?
guys are welcome to.
I'm a pretty private person.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Because you're cool. So, that tracks.
So yeah, I just prefer absolute silence.
Oh, absolute?
Starting now.
But what if I have to talk, Because I get you can, but I can't. You sure don't want to talk?
I'll just keep staring. I'm looking at it.
Oh, God.
Okay. And I'll just make random noises to myself here and there.
Quietly
Just
singing.
continually,
Quietly
yeah, just
singing. Hyper.
clucking and tutting, clicking a pen just constantly right in his ear.
Yeah. No, I'll sit there with my my belly button ring and I'll just go and spin it. Just make that spinny noise.
Twang of your bow. Just bling.
Bling bling.
Coulson, go ahead and roll me. I call it a wisdom saving throw. I think that's the good roll for annoyance.
For sure.
Perseverance.
Can you last through the annoyance?
Willpower.
That's a 1.
Yeah. 5 minutes in, you've made a grave error. This is going to be a long night. Unless you do anything to stop your annoyance, your evening comes.
I'm just gonna sit there and start meditating to myself. So anything she says to me or tries to get my attention, I don't even budge because
You just slip into your trance early and just say fuck it, just forget the watch, it's not worth it.
Yep.
Just go into trance. The the evening passes with no interference from with the aid of your collective stealth coming into this space, and other things happening in this city, you're able to have a quiet evening and all achieve a long rest collectively. However, I do need to need you to make me a Constitution saving throw, please.
Sure.
This will be the last time I call on you about this endeavor, but this decides a point of exhaustion for your kind of ordeal.
12?
Plus your Constitution saving throw?
Con save plus 3. 15 total.
15 is enough for your hearty form to have withstanded your near brush with death.
I'll take it.
No point of exhaustion needed. Morning comes cool and it's very gray, which is not super uncommon when you are in surrounded by these creatures. Like, it's now become a thing where there's a haze to the air. What you're coming to find is a little bit of effect of the town being abandoned and the dust and elements of the town. But the consumption of the husks is just kind of leaving a faint kind of aura and haze of this kind of dust and expulsion of dry, dead, absorbed skin and all this refuse from the creatures. It's unpleasant, but you are rested and alive as you wake in surprisingly lush accommodations, comfortable blankets and beds. Come to find the other members of your of the Ilderfold Spire, the Guildroot family, this group of gnomish figures who live here, who have come to be sheltered here, I should say, by Coulson. There are a number of other kind of smaller families, literally smaller and small folk, gnomes and halflings, a handful of humans. It seems like there's a relatively well-to-do kind of merchant-looking kind of figure who, despite having been like hiding out here for like 4 months, still is trying to put on the air of nobility or aristocracy. A couple of other dwarven figures who all kind of hang out together. The priestess Zoya is still tucked within his shell off to the side as he's resting. And Coulson, as well as the rest of you, to a total of about like 18 citizens, Coulson and the 4 of you.
There's not a lot of people for town survivors.
No.
It's easier for us to get out 18 people, though.
Yeah.
In talking about our plan to get these people out, do we? I couldn't remember. Are we stealing the Good Times landing boat, or is that a good spot where we could go to, but then also get some artificer boats?
So Good Times Landing has the folding boats that they would like rent out. So they, well, at least Coulson has relayed, they're there somewhere. If you can get to Good Times Landing as like the storefront, which also on the back has the dock where the Good Time, the actual boat, is presumably docked, but you don't know, and neither has Coulson hasn't made his way up there. It is part of this discussion now of like action plan. Coulson, you have kind of scouted a little bit of this southwestern section. However, south, obviously, the major point is this kind of cavern to the south is the nexus of like where the bulk of them are coming from. These creatures are habitating. However, it's south and west is the largest like grouping and like conjoining areas where they're consistently there. So crossing over the southwest portion of town, which you'll have to do to get to Good Times Landing, is the like hardest part of the town to get through. It's the most congested with these creatures. Consistently, there's never really a gap. So that's why you haven't done it solo as of yet. However, now with a group, perhaps you'd be able to make your way and like fight through an area if you had to.
So maybe that's our plan, because then we could also get a peek, maybe, at why they're all like gathering together in like that big mass. We could like scout through there. But I think that's our best bet is we could try and go see if there's a boat there, try and see if there's those artificer boats we could steal, and then come back to this collection of survivors here and just go from there.
So like do the trip twice then, right? We gotta go there. How many of these boat things are there and how big are they? Like, would it just be better to like, because that's where they have to dock off from anyway, right?
Not necessarily. You can go anywhere along the basin.
And they're briefcase sized, the artificer ones.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
If we were to do like to bring the people there, like maybe if we thought it would be best to get them on the Good Times landing, then we could try and make a distraction. So it'd be easier, like on another part of the city, to try and get the people to that. But I think our first bet is going there for a pre-scout. Maybe trying to bring back some foldable boats.
And
yeah, I can give you.
If we can try to at least get the big.
Whether it's worth like fighting, like and pulling them away, and allowing everyone to like run to Good Times Landing, or if it's better to do the kind of get the boats and bring it back here and they can dock elsewhere. Once you get it, this kind of first recon of like, what's it look like?
Mm-hmm. So I think that's the plan. I was also thinking it's probably not smart to do it at night. Like if we were to do it during the day, that way Nettie and I could see, because we don't have dark vision 60 feet.
It's also something that we can see everything else, and they will be able to see us as well. That's just something to keep in mind.
Actually, sorry to interrupt you for a second. Coulson, did you say something like they're more attracted to sound? Do they see?
I believe it's like a sound sonar type.
Tremors almost way?
They can see when there is sound waves, if that makes sense. Like a daredevil type situation.
A little, but it's less about the fact that they are blind, but more about the fact that they are more attracted to sound than visual stimulus. However, Andy, you also know, based on like your Mind Palace experience trying to figure out what was up with the crane, they're attracted to like energy, so like almost like the shifting of spectrum that creates like the auditory sound, that adjustment in like the energy of that spectrum. So a magical energy could also attract them.
That could work as a future like distraction, like if we were to explode something or have some sort of magical thing go down on one side of the city and maybe attract them. I think we should go for a pre-scout. The 5 of us. I don't know if anyone here would be helpful. If there's any volunteers. Zoya's still asleep. And I'll be honest, Andy, he's pretty old. Like, he was so nice and we gave him really good eye contact when I was telling him my stories, but he's just so old.
Oh no, chroniclers are very great storytellers and are just giant like sources of knowledge. Most of them are not the ones you put out front when something's trying to attack the head, no.
That's why we have Coulson now. He's that guy.
Sure, yeah. And the only other question would be if we're bringing anyone else who might know the area. Is there someone who was like, know what it is that's happening? Like, know anything about the location? Like, was it someone who was here who owned that thing? I can't remember from Kyle's description.
No, Simon and Merle Goodtime are not here. However, Good Times Landing is a well-known location.
Gotcha.
So like that's just Coulson, having lived here for as long as he has, just like has that innate knowledge and knows where it is. Looking over the other group of the 18 other people who are here, there's only one other figure who looks even like remotely capable in a fight, and he's missing a leg. So like not a great selection. The others are children and a sleeping turtle. Your best bet is Coulson.
Any tough looking kids though? Like,
they look scrappy.
Okay.
But not like take on alien like zombie scrappy. More like
I guess just
ragtag baseball scrappy.
Fun.
Augustus, I'm not sure if you can. You know how you had Ray go and like find food, but it wasn't like.
Oh yeah.
Do you think is there something you can do like whenever like there's a lot of hungry people here? We have some rations. I have like a little bit left that we can share. I have 16 days. Because we can also like try to feed ourselves wherever we go after this. You guys are, good at gathering and.
I'm not going to try and do it right now, but I will have prepared good berry, and I'm going to burn one right now to give them one. I think it's a first. Good berry.
Yeah. I think that makes how many berries?
Let's check right now. Known spells, good berry. Up to 10 berries appear in your hand and are infused with magic for the duration.
So I will say you have 18 people to feed beyond yourselves. So a total of, with the 5 of you, 23 total hungry peoples.
Okay.
So why don't we give Goodberry to the kids? There's a bunch of kids, give them that. And then we can just eat our rations for now.
Cool.
Maybe spread it out with the rest.
I'll also add one other, not necessarily a question, but just like a note. If you are going to sneak and plan to go during the day, this is not a don't do that note, but a note about traveling and sneaking through the day. It's harder. It's harder to go through the day. You don't have the cover of night on your side. So the DCs will be a little higher. So a pass without trace obviously is going to help you there.
Mm-hmm.
But the checks will matter at that point. Like it's not going to be a hand wave check for stealth. It's high enough where even pass without trace, there's still room for error. You're out in the open.
What do you guys think? It's easier for us to see and perceive things, but like it would just be disadvantaged. And I've got pretty good perception if we did night.
Yeah, I think the problem is if the longer we wait, like we don't know what's happening, and more of those things are congregating to make like a fucking flesh golem or whatever the hell they're working on. Like we don't want to wait too long because whatever it is we have to do too could be more and more delayed. And last time we went up against this thing, someone was making a port.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to. And if we delay until the evening, well, then maybe we wouldn't even get people out until the next evening, and then that means that if we can scout ahead of time, then we can get everyone else once night falls in the cover of night tonight.
That's true. That's true. Okay, then why don't we go for now? What were you going to say to Crane?
I like night. I give them the advantage of the day.
We could do night to get the people there.
Because otherwise we're doing like nothing the whole day. Like we just got here and we have to wait for night to fall again.
We train.
Shadowbox.
Do reconnaissance.
That's what we're doing. We're doing reconnaissance. That's the whole mission is to do the reconnaissance.
There's more reconnaissance than that. But we train. We get our supplies ready.
I will say
find new allies.
I will say to reconnaissance, like, you don't need to go all the way to Good Times Landing to get eyes on.
Yeah,
You're just too far away from here to get eyes on. You have good aerial, but you're not close. Like, you could get to a point and, like, make your first stop. Let's get to a good eyes on of, like, yeah, this, like, weird mass. Like, what's an eyes on for a path up to Good Times Landing? Like, is there other routes around to go, rather than making your trip all the way there? And then you can assess whether it's worth, okay, fuck it, we're already here, let's go. Or, okay, it's not safe, let's wait for night. Like, you can have an interim spot instead of trying to get all the way there.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good idea. Go half seas, get some eyes on, decide, just like you said, should we go now or should we wait for night?
Yeah, so what I will call for in this moment then, in the collective decree saying, like, let's just focus on, reconnaissance before reconnaissance. Pre-reconnaissance. Coulson, with your experience in the town, I want you just to throw me, I don't think there's a check that necessarily makes sense here, so we're just going to go for a straight emphasis roll. Roll 2 d20s. Tell me the numbers on each of them. What we're looking for is one of them closer to 20 or closer to 1. We'll see which. If it's closer to 1, it's a worse result. Closer to 20, it's a better result.
I rolled rolled 2 at the same time, and they both were 8.
Okay. Well, that's not that great. Closer to 1 than 20, but not that bad. Like you're just shy of exactly in the middle. So, your assessment of like what they're asking for, a midpoint, there's not a great idea that sprung to your mind of like, oh yeah, there's a perfect like watchtower here to like look over and see, get great, like you got cover. But you did pick if you went close to if you took a route towards Fira's Rest, this this temple that's kind of in the middle of town on the way there, in theory, you're thinking for yourself, you could potentially scale the side of it to get like good eyes on, but it's not an easy like guarantee for everyone to get that. But you think that that's a potential at least point to start from. So that's what you've kind of come up with as your answers. You make your way to Fira's Rest, and then kind of make your call from there. It's on the right track, but it's not ideal for what you've been looking for based on that roll. That's what you got. Unless there's anything more from you guys through this morning, then we'll pick up there next time.
Ooh, baby. I gotta prepare my spells. I was just looking at them right now. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
God.